Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Thank you. Now enjoy the show.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Thanks for tuning in. I got something new. I'm just so excited because this fell in my lap, right? Okay. Thanks for tuning in, y'all, for another episode of Ray Ray's Review. This time we're going to review Mr. Crocket. This is just in time for Halloween because it's a scary thriller movie with a little gore in it. Not too much. It ain't like Saw. Don't worry about it. And it's a thriller. Comes in from the TV. Now it ain't like Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street, but it's really good. How I found out about this was I was watching a fellow YouTuber by the name of Rocks, or It's Rocks. She's been on YouTube for quite some time, and she was, doing her what do you call it? TOTB, where she gives us the news for the week and whatnot. And she mentioned that her nephew is directing a show, a scary movie, and it's debuting on Hulu. So this is one of those Huluweens that we have. If you have Hulu streaming service, that's where it's located. And just so you can see, this is it, Mr. Crocket. It debuted October 11th, just a couple of days ago. And it is so good. I'm going to tell you about it. That's why I wanted to bring you guys in to the fray of this show. I was shocked because, some things are real corny or could be too much or just not enough or, just not interesting. But this movie is scary. Now, again, it's not too gory. It leaves you in suspense. It's one of those suspense, scary thrillers with just a little bit of guts and glory. And of course, it's a good ending. And I really like it. I hope you like it too. So let's just get into it, right? So it takes place in Sturry Bottom, Pennsylvania. Now, I don't know if this is a real town, but it's in 1993. And it's about this TV show named Mr. Crockett's World. And he grabs the children of adults who pretty much don't respect their children. It's real crazy. But anywho, so it starts off right, this little boy watching Mr. Crockett's World on TV. So all of a sudden dinner's ready with his mom and stepdad. And dad goes off on him because he's not eating his vegetables. He seems like that real stern, mean kind of dad. But, he loves them. But again, he's just, very manly. So the mom couldn't take any more of the dad forcing the kid to eat the vegetables. And she storms out, goes into her room. Now that right there tells me that's a problem because that's her kid. Even though he's a stepdad, that's her kid. And he's still, 8 or 9 years old, maybe 10. He's a child. And the fact that she doesn't like it, something tells me that, it's not a kosher situation. Of course, the man in a traditional family, the man is going to be more of the warden, the bad cop, while the mom most likely is the good cop. And the dad probably issues discipline, physical discipline, no doubt. But as a mother, I would never leave my child in the situation because it really presents that the mother is not on board with the discipline, especially if she leaves when she tries to get the dad to stop. It doesn't present a united front, which is already a problem because it lets the child know that the mom is not on board, which means something is wrong. And what's weird is the TV show is still playing. Then all of a sudden, we see the TV show stop and they're looking in the direction of the dinner table. I was like, oh, now this is crazy. So then Mr. Crocket comes out of the TV and makes his way to the dinner table. The little boy was like, oh, Mr. Crocket. The dad was like, who the book are you? What in the book is going on? What in the book? What in the book? You know, it was like, what? So Mr. Crocket, apparently all of a sudden these monsters come out of the TV and appear out of nowhere and hold the dad down. And just like how the dad was trying to force the kid to eat the vegetables, Mr. Crocket has his plate of bleh. I can't even say it. Oh my God. That's one thing I can't do is look at bleh and stuff like that and think it's okay. I had to turn my head because it looked like it had hair in it. It was like, oh no. Oh no. I just had to turn my head and kind of look to see, kind of like block the area with my hand so that I wouldn't see what was in the plate. So pretty much Mr. Crocket was making the dad eat the blop from the plate. Oh yeah, you want the boy to eat the vegetables? Why don't you eat this? And the man kept his mouth closed. So then Mr. Crocket got his what do you call it? His imaginary, well, I wouldn't say imaginary because he used this marker that actually would make an imaginary door for him to go in and out of, to go back to the TV world, wherever he was. He would just draw it in air and then it would illuminate and he would go through it to go back to where he came from. So he made it to be a weapon and sliced the dad's stomach and put the food with a blop in there along with a hot iron. Like, where did that come from? I'm like, oh my goodness. So then the mom is in the room listening to what is all that extra noise? Now she's hearing crazy stuff coming from the living room and dining room area, but she know her son out there, but she didn't rush to go out there, which also makes me believe that the mom ain't sugar honey iced tea. Because again, I'm not gonna leave my kid in harm's way. So she comes and finds all of this stuff going on. She's seeing Mr. Crocket. She's seeing the dad sliced open. She's seeing the son just chilling. You know, he's just like kind of like enjoying this, but he's like in a trance too. So he's really not aware that anything really bad is happening. And then it just, the mom screams and then it kind of goes off. I'm like, oh my goodness. So Mr. Crocket says he saves the little boys and girls from the parents who don't love them like Mr. Crocket. That's pretty much the basis of this whole movie. But is he really saving them? We're going to find out, child. So the next kid situation is they're having a funeral for the dad. He passed away. The little boy don't want to be there, so he's playing a video game on the phone of sorts. And he's giving his mom a little problem. You know, it's a real quick ceremony, and then they go back to the house for the repast. The boy doesn't really want to be in the room with all those people crying and carrying on, so he goes outside and kind of throws a ball, plays football by himself with himself. And this lady who attended the funeral was talking to the mom like, "You just gonna let that boy talk to you any kind of way?" So just going. So they kind of have this sorrow music playing, so really don't hear much more of what the busybody lady is telling the mom, trying to tell her how to raise her kid. I'm like, dang, dad just died. The mom is in sorrow. She probably ain't got her wits together. You know, that she's Don't know what she gonna do. Of course, the man was the man of the house, so she got to figure out how to do stuff. I mean, come on, lady. But all this is going on, there's a homeless woman outside pestering the son. I believe his name is Major. And the woman kind of brushes by and is telling the little boy, I think you should come with me. It's not safe. And pretty much the reason why she's saying that is because apparently she lost her son. So she's projecting, and she's thinking that the boy isn't safe. And so the mom, I think her name is Summer, she comes out, rescues the boy, threatens the homeless lady, and pretty much take the boy inside and everything. And, it was just the rest of the day went by. The homeless woman left. So later on that evening, Major has a nightmare and wants his dad. And he's acting out and whatnot. The mom doesn't know what to do. And she's finding all kind of tapes and things she could listen to and trying to find and Google search and everything, trying to find out how she can get her son under control because he's acting out. And of course, she's, doesn't want to do any physical discipline. But, sometimes you may have to just give them something that they can feel. I mean, hey, I'm not saying doing nothing wrong. I ain't saying abuse. But sometimes kids, even in times of sorrow, they have to be dealt with. And that's harsh punishment. That can be anything. Of course, it's not abuse, but that can be anything. But I think she needs to figure out something instead of just, what we see. But it is a movie, so we're going to see what happens, right? So all of a sudden, she finds that someone puts a post in her yard of a stand of sorts that holds children's books and videos. And you can open the door, pull out a video or a book. And so she pulls out the video, Mr. Crockett's World. I wonder who put that post in the yard. I wonder who did that. So she puts on the video for the little boy, and he's really enamored by it. So next we see another kid, right? There's another story of a little girl watching TV, and her TV kind of goes out. You can tell they're living kind of poorly. The TV's all old and broken down. Her room is kind of tethered. She goes in and finds her dad passed out with a needle in his arm, and it ain't cute. Alcohol containers everywhere, and it's just a mess, a stone cold mess. And either is one substance that you light up and put in a syringe, or it's another that, it just looks disgusting in there. So she pours water on her dad's head to wake him up because he wasn't listening to her yell for him. And he wakes up and starts yelling at her because he notices that she's looking at him the way he's looking. And she tells him that her TV is out. So he goes to her room, tries to work on it, hits it a few times, and tells her, until I get it fixed, I'll go see about what I can do. Stay in the room and don't come out until I get you. So he probably, do some more of that mess that he was doing before she came in there. So he starts to clean up, put some bottles and things away. And her TV comes on with a scary hand on it. Like, Then Mr. Crockett appears in the dad's chair where he was, sitting when the girl found him, right? And so all this scary music going on. It's like, and he's like, who in the bloop are you? What in the bloop is going on? So he was a lot less concerned about the man. Now, mind you, this little girl is white. The dad with the syringe in his arm is white. And then Mr. Crockett, as you can see, is a black man. And he ain't going off as hard as the black man. Oh, I didn't say the first little boy, mom and dad, they're a little black family. The man, that first man was more bloop and bloop than this white man. So I'm like, okay, maybe he's still under the influence and he don't really recognize. Because usually if you see somebody who is not normally in your house, or who look like you in your house, you'd be like, what the heck? I know I would, because now I would be going off either way if I don't know you, that you're in my house. But anyway, this dad, he's just trying to tell this dude that he needs to get the heck out. So he pulls out a firearm and points it at Mr. Crockett. That don't phase Mr. Crockett. I don't think he understands who Mr. Crockett is. Because if he coming out of TVs and carrying on and got force fields to go back into and back and forth, I don't think that gun is any match. So Mr. Crockett was telling the dad, I don't think that pow is going to do much of anything. So the dad pulls the trigger and a bubble comes out. Mr. Crockett's laughing at him like, okay, I didn't told you. So Mr. Crockett starts singing a song from his TV show. And he's addressing the dad's parental skills. Like, this is not cool. What's going on? Whoop-de-woo. And as he's addressing the dad's parental skills, the dad can't move. He's like, why can't I move? What was going on? I mean, so at the same time, the little girl's in her room because her dad told her not to come out. But she did knows that her TV is kind of trying to come back on or whatnot. So Mr. Crockett pretty much paralyzes the man somehow where he can't move, but Mr. Crockett physically turns his hand and arm with the pistol in it pointed towards Mr. Crockett back to the man to where it goes into his mouth. And he has the man cock it and pull the trigger, and a bubble comes out. Now this bubble makes the man's head explode. And yes, they do show it. Okay, like I said, they're showing a little gore, but it's not bad like Saw or nothing like that. So don't worry. And the little girl is watching the TV. She sees the show coming on at the same time. Remember the homeless woman? She's outside of that house looking in the window. Even though the curtain's closed, the shade is up. So, if the shade is up, you can see in and out. And so Mr. Crockett notices the homeless woman looking and then just takes the girl and goes into the force field, that door that he made, I guess, going back to the TV world with the little girl. And he sees the homeless woman and just, knowing that the homeless woman's not going to do anything, he just said, oh, well, I'm got another kid. So ha, 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 ha. And child, it's just a mess. So anyway, going back to Major, he was the son of the dad who passed, and the mom don't know what she's going to do with him. He is acting out to the point where he is breaking stuff. He is cutting all the way up. And the mom is yelling at him like, look, I'm trying to do the best I can. I am your mother, and you need to listen to me. I'm sorry your dad ain't here. She's just trying to pretty much convince him to stop breaking stuff. So while she takes Mr. Crockett away from him, away so that he's not watching it anymore, he goes and looks at some things he can break. I'm like, what in the? So he takes a picture, I think, of his dad and throws it down and breaks the glass. And she is yelling at him like, you need to stop. And so he picks up his dad's trophy and picking it up like he's going to throw it and breaks it. And he does. And she goes all the way off, tells him, okay, that's it. If you want to act like this, then it's on and popping, right? I said, I'm doing the best I can. Like she said, I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying to hold this place down. And this is what you do. Well, guess what? If this is what you want to do, then I'm not your mother anymore. And go to your room. And he's looking like, what? He actually felt a little bad and got tears in his eyes and went to his room. Child, later that evening, she finds that the Mr. Crockett show keeps coming on the TV, even though the tape is not in it. And so she thinks it's in the VCR, right? And remind you, this is 1993. So the VCR was popping back then. maybe Blu-ray, but it was definitely a VCR tape. And so she's turning the whole thing off. And as she walks away, going towards the kids' room, she finds it coming back on again. And she's like, what in the? So nothing she can do can turn it off. And so she's trying to get back to the son's room, right? So then she sees that Mr. Crockett is coming out of the TV, then takes her son, and she's fighting back, trying to, she just can't believe she's seeing what she's seeing. So he pretty much just bypasses her, and she finally gets her bat, tears down the kid's door. And by that time, as soon as she comes in the room, they're off into that force field that he made with his super duper marker, and they're gone. And so she calls Popo, and they just can't believe that another kid is gone. And so, she's just up in arms, right? So pretty much she's going through the neighborhood, and there's a signs going on for missing children. So she has to put hers along with the others, and she's asking people what's going on. So she runs into the scene of a crime where another kid is missing. And the woman of the property is just kind of weird talking, but she's just explaining how this, by this child was pretty much abducted. And so then her name is Summer. She goes to the library and finds an article about a TV host that was 187. And then the TV turns on in the other room, and she's hearing Mr. Crockett on the television. She's like, what in the? So she goes back into the other room across the hall from where she was reading the articles, and he starts to address her. And so he warns her to stop looking for him. Then she gets closer to the TV, and guess what? He grabs her collar from the TV. Oh, I kind of jumped right there. I was like, oh my God. And then she runs away into the arms of a man looking for Mr. Crockett too. Interesting, ain't they? Now, coincidentally, the same dude was at the house of the scene of a crime I told you that she went to regarding another abduction while she was posting signs for her kid on the different posts in the neighborhood. So he had to have followed her to the library, knowing that she's looking for her kid. So he tells her about the story of his daughter he's looking for as well. And he knows that it's Mr. Crockett. And she's just like, we got to find this homeless woman because obviously she knows something. Summer mentioned how the homeless woman kept mentioning that he's going to take your kid. He's going to take your kid. So she's putting two and two together. And so she's telling this guy about it. And so they both go looking for the homeless woman, right? Come to find out her name is Rhonda. He did some digging, the guy that she ran into who's also looking for his daughter. And he found out that the woman's name is Rhonda. And so they go to find her. They come up on her, I don't want to say, well, I'll just say domicile because she is homeless. So whatever thing she made up to be her home. First, she startled by them and tried to, protect herself by putting a knife to Summer's throat. But he pulled his gun while she was saying, who are you? And so they explained themselves. So they pretty much put all their weapons away. And she showed them what she had in her domicile. She had a whole bunch of TVs rigged up together, rigged up to some type of power line, so she can find Mr. Crockett and hopefully get her son back. It was so elaborate, but it is what it is out there in them streets. They're going to find what they need to find and do what they got to do. So, so pretty much Rhonda is trying to see and tap into the TV world and in the mind of Mr. Crockett. Then she finds his next victim's address that kind of pops pretty much as she's trancing into whatever, she's touching the TVs and tapping into everything. Whatever's in her mind appears on the TV screen. She has like several, all rigged up. And so she taps into them, and whatever's coming through her mind, whatever she sees, appears on the TV, and she's letting them know, do you see the address? So they're making sure that they capture the address. Whatever they see that's a possible clue, or something that will lead them to Mr. Crockett, they're making note of it. So she's letting them know this is where he's going to be for his next victim, and we need to go now. So pretty much they gather up everything and they go to that address, right? They find him, but the child pretty much is already going into the TV world. So they get there a little late, but Mr. Crockett doesn't go with the child. He just puts the child through the force field situation back into the TV world. And Mr. Crockett senses that someone's there. So he finds them hiding, all three of them, and pretty much almost, it looked like he 187 Rhonda, but he just pretty much, I guess, took her lights out, temporarily, and finds Summer and the other dad looking for their kid. And so they end up going into the TV world too before Mr. Crockett does. They pretty much run in there while it's still open and available, and then they fall into the set of his old TV show. Now they're pretty much knocked out, but she wakes up first, and then she wakes him up. And so they're just pretty much there, and Mr. Crockett finds them there, and he ends up bringing out all the children that he took from the neighborhood and from anywhere else, from any other neighborhood that he's been through. And so they're all under a trance. You can tell because their eyes look like TV snow. You know how when TV goes off, it has that shh, where it's just like, I can't get a reception. I can't get it. For all those who look, pretty much this show is for grown folks, aunties and unks. So if there's anybody who was born after TV was on 24/7, there was a time when TV went off. Roughly 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, that was when the Pledge of Allegiance came on. There was a flag shown, and at the end of that rendition, it was pretty much a trumpet. And pretty much TV went off, and it was just that bad reception look that you may get if you can't get through. And it was like that until about 5 in the morning, until news came on. So that ended roughly, 89, 90. So we started to get 24-hour TV about that. So if you was born after probably 89, about after 89, 90, if you're born after that, then that's what happened before you was born. Anywho, back to Mr. Crockett. So then Mr. Crockett has, like I said, he has all the kids under a trance, and he tells a story he tells the story about himself to the kids that also tells the parents, Summer and the dad looking for his daughter, about what happened to him, about his dad abusing him physically, and him taking his dad straight off the set, and then him vowing to be a better man and be this TV host who does great things for children and would always be an advocate for children. He got away with taking his dad off the set because he knew he could do it. It was real eerie right there, wasn't it? Didn't that sound a little eerie? Telling kids a story? Or just making it be like a kid's story? But yeah, so he's pretty much telling the kids it's okay to take your parents off the set if they're doing harm to you. Ooh, this is weird, ain't it? So then he pretty much has a little boy. He talks about a little boy that he tried to save. Now, this part is real crazy. So he said he was doing his TV show, and a little boy he noticed was really, different from the others. Apparently, this little boy was suffering at home, and he thought he would be a better parent or a better role model. So he had the boy come with him to his house without telling nobody. Pretty much, he kidnapped the child, and Popo came to his house looking for the kid. He hid the kid in the closet, and he then took out Popo, both of them. And while the kid's still in the closet, he thought crazy, okay, crazy. So then he gets caught, and more Popo come running through because they know what's going on. And while the little boy runs out of the closet, that's when Popo notices the two deceased Popo. So Popo started letting off and in the direction of the child running out of the closet, because the child kind of heard and saw what happened and was scared and wanted to leave. And so Mr. Crockett saved the child's life by placing himself in front of the child, and ends up being a number 2 pencil, if you know what I'm talking about. And so they end up rescuing the boy, and Mr. Crockett ends up, being deceased, but for some strange happenings, he made a deal with Beelzebub, the devil, and pretty much kind of came back to life in a way to take kids out of bad homes and make the parents suffer for it. Ain't that something? Like you said, he's there to take care of kids when parents don't or can't. Okay. So all of a sudden, the dad that's looking for his daughter starts to be enamored by the story, and he's looking like he misses he starts to talk about how much he missed this place and how much he was looking forward to seeing Mr. Crockett again. And everybody's looking like, what? Come to find out he is the little kid that Mr. Crockett took from his TV show and tried to raise himself and got caught and ended up, passing away. And so he pulls out his pow and aims it at Summer. Like, you will not be responsible for making this man or trying to discredit this man. So pretty much he was about to take Summer out. And then this is the shocking part, right? Mr. Crockett ends up having him put the pow away, and his name is Anthony, right? And he calls Anthony to him and pretty much turns it all around on him and lets him know that this is not what little kids should be doing, even though he didn't tell the kids earlier, if your parents treat you bad, it's okay to take them off the set. But Anthony ain't listening because Anthony crazy. So Anthony starts to listen to Mr. Crockett and is trying to explain himself like, no, I was just trying to, he's like, no. See, you shouldn't have this thought in your head. And I think Mr. Crockett sees Anthony as a threat. So he's trying to take him out, considering he has a pow on him and ain't nobody else got nothing like that. So Mr. Crockett convinces Anthony to stand down. At the same time, he has his cartoon character monsters devour him in front of everybody. And Summer's looking like, OMG, I need to get the heck up out of here. This ain't working. And so all at the same time, she's trying to get her son to come back to her. So she's released from the monster, because the monster is right now devouring Anthony. So Anthony gone. So now it's just Summer there to get her kid back and possibly the others. So she keeps yelling out for Major, but Mr. Crockett says Major will choose where he wants to be. So as she's calling out for her son Major's eyes start to turn back normal. And they start to comfort each other, and she's thinking that Okay, he's back. He's going to come back with me. But then he tells his mother, no, I don't want to go back with you. And then hurries back to Mr. Crockett with his eyes looking like snow, like the TV snow, like TV went off, right? Now, all the kids are still looking like TV went off. However, just earlier, he was having the kids search for Summer and Anthony, trying to take them off the set before they all came together, right? So, in order for Summer to survive, she has to not get caught in a game of hide and seek. Like I mentioned, this is where all the kids start to search for her, and including her son, that instructed by Mr. Crockett. And so she has to pretty much survive it. And she does. She starts to blow her whistle in hopes that Major responds. All the kids stop the trance, and pretty much Major is back with his mother. All the kids are no longer in a trance, and she takes Mr. Crockett and uses his own magic marker to create two Mr. Crockett's. Meaning she split him in half from excuse me, from his left stomach to his right stomach. So pretty much it sliced them in half so that, things would, go out, and he wouldn't, hurt them anymore. Now, child, what was crazy was all the kids just stopped with the trance as soon as she took Mr. Crockett out. So she made the imaginary door like she knows how to do and putting all the kids through it. So while her and Major starting to go through, he's grabbing onto Major like, no, you can't leave. No, this is not working. No. And so he said, I will be back. I will come and get you. So, oh, shoot. So they walk through the back to reality, and everything's back to normal. Everything's back to normal, like I said. And so Summer brings the Rhonda, the homeless lady, her kid, and she's all happy because she went and got herself together, and now she's looking like she did before. Her hair is done, body's clean and everything. She's no longer homeless. And so all the kids were returned back to their parents and everything, according to Summer. And so they're back at the house, and everything is pretty much going good. Summer is visited by the school psychologist. At the same time, Major's upstairs coloring. And we don't see what he's coloring at first. But the conversation between Summer and the school psychologist is cool at first. You know how they do. They kind of pump you up and make, nice with you. And then they start to give you all the tricks and stuff that they really came there for. So the school psychologist is indicating that there's issues with Major, how he has abused some people to the point where she's providing pictures to the mom on bruises and injuries that he has created. But this is the first she's hearing about it, which is strange because, usually when that first happens, you hear about it then. So, interesting. Just saying. And so the school psychologist also mentions, sometimes, we need to focus in on the home if there's some changes. And the mom was like, yeah, his dad passed away, so it's just us. And, he's probably just having a really hard time. I really can't believe, as she's flipping through the pictures, that Major's doing all of this. And so the school psychologist says, and the father figure that's around, the interaction that he's had with some of the children at the school is very disturbing, and even some of the parents. So we just want to know if you can do something about that. She's like, father figure? I told you his dad passed away months ago. She said, well, the man that you're seeing, your significant other, his presence at the school is quite disturbing. and we're hoping that you can, do help to do something about it. She's like, what man? Then they pan to the coloring that Major is doing. And he's coloring Mom, he's coloring Major. Now both of their eyes have that look of trance, with the TV snow, And I'm like, oh shoot. And they start to show him coloring Dad, but then they go back to the conversation with the mom and the psychologist. And the psychologist mentions that, yeah, it's just very, disturbing that he's mentioning that he's pretty much threatening the parents and maybe some of the children. And we just hope that, something can be done about it. Come to find out, Major's picture of Dad is Mr. Crockett. Child, when they showed that, I said, OMG, this has to be a part 2. There has to be a part 2 to this scary movie, because they just can't let this go. This was so good of a show. The end, child. It was the end when I said, well, ain't this nothing? He then came back. See, that's why you got to make sure folks is gone when they gone. When you taking them off the set, you got to make sure they off the set. Just like you do with a bug, you make sure that the bug is is kaput. Okay, you can't just say, okay, I think it's gone, and then just leave it outside. No. You got to sometimes you got to pour bleach on it. You got to do a little home defense. You may have to stomp on it a few times, depending on what type of bug it is. Sometimes you got to really mush it so that it can't even come back together. Whatever the bug, child, when she sliced, first of all, leaving him talking is a clue to me, like, this ain't over. This can't be over. And I don't think it is. I can't wait for part 2. If it's a part 2, good job. You guys have to watch this. If you don't have Hulu, go get it. Get your little 7-day trial if you don't want to pay for it, okay? And tune in to Mr. Crockett and watch it a couple of times. Maybe, record it. I don't know, whatever you got to do. But yeah, it's a real good show. I really loved it. And thanks again to It's Rocks for letting us know about this scary movie. And I hope you guys like it too when you watch it. And I hope you like this review. Please let me know in the comments, okay? Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with folks. And I'll catch you next time. More shows coming. Happy Vlogtober. Every day.